Hey there, guys. Good morning. Welcome to my Compound Life. I'm Jonathan. This is a channel where we build assets, we build habits, and of course, we build freedom that will be financial freedom, time freedom for you and me and anyone else that watches my videos. So, good day, guys. The time of recording, it's the 26th of January, the Monday morning in the UK in West Midlands. So good to see you guys. Thanks for watching my video. If you're new here, I make daily Bitcoin video. I mean, it's a channel that we talk about different assets, but somehow I kind of love chatting about Bitcoin because there's always so much development going on. So if you like Bitcoin, if you do dollar cost average, pound cost average, and love to keep up with the news, then you should subscribe to me. Okay, so hit the like, hit subscribe, and let me know in the comment section where you guys are watching from. And by the way, I love all of the comments that you guys leave me. But at the same time, just a quick reminder, as I think recently there has been a few viewers that starts to leave me comment about how many Bitcoin that they have. So please don't do that. Please don't do that. I love all comments, by the way, right? Just don't let anyone else know how many Bitcoin you actually hold. Okay, so apology, I have to delete some of them comments. So no offense taken, yeah? Just keep it simple. And don't talk about how many assets or how much in asset that you currently holding. Okay, so let's start today looking at some of the Bitcoin price action. Okay, so at the time of recording, Bitcoin is around $87,671. It definitely fluctuated a lot. Nothing much to chat about except the fact that we are retesting we are kind of trying to get back to the zone that I spoke about a couple of days ago, right? So we obviously went down below this zone area around 87,500, and then we're now trying to reclaim it. Okay, so not too much to chat about for Bitcoin price action, but yes, a lot of previous support zone has now been broken. I think a lot to do with some of the macro news that aren't too positive yet, but we will see. So quick look into the fear and greed index. For now, we are back to extreme fear. I think the fact that Bitcoin price has dropped so much over the weekend. You know what? Somehow I felt the Bitcoin price drop yesterday was more driven by the market maker or exchanges selling to clear out the longs, because usually at this time this happened around 4 p.m. in the UK yesterday, and usually between the hours 3 to about 4 p.m. this is where market maker usually comes in ongoing, like clockwork. They'll just come in and take out leverage, long and short. So looking at this, I mean, there weren't any news that came out, and then immediately Bitcoin just shot down within this, quick 4 hours time frame, right? So I think it's even less than 4 hours that this happened. So this happened maybe around 3 p.m. to about 2:30 p.m. to about 3 p.m. in a very, very short period of time, and market maker just came in and took out all the longs, I guess. So not good. So yeah, I think that's how we'll look through it. So I think it has been pretty fearful for many people, right? So that's why fear and greed index is showing fearful as opposed to anything positive for now. Okay, so last week I haven't quite covered the ETF. Maybe I want to look through the weeks so far. So for the weekly ETF so far, for last week, it was actually outflow, $1.3 billion worth of outflow, right? So anything the week before, it was a very good positive inflow of $1.4 billion. And last week, essentially, all the gains has been wiped off. So I guess it's all down to the Japan bond yield increase, leading on to the Japanese carry trade unwind, all due to some fear surrounding tariffs. I think although the Greenland tariffs has been settled, but all of a sudden another Canada plus China tariffs reappear again. So more uncertainty with the macro and geopolitical kind of environment that leads Bitcoin to continue to dip. But let me take a quick look in terms of Ethereum ETF on a weekly basis. Ethereum also the same, 611 million worth of outflow versus the week before. It was actually positive inflow of $479 million inflow. So anything from last week actually wipe off all of the gains for Ethereum. I think let's take a quick look at Solana ETF weekly basis. Well, Solana was the only one that has positive weekly inflow. So last week it was 9.57 million. The week before was 46.8 million. So although it was positive inflow, but just very, very minimal. So this really reflects the overall sentiment of investors, not really, Bitcoin, crypto, definitely not top of mind. I think the attention definitely stole all of this away by gold, metal, silver. In such a way, I think it makes absolute sense, because in a time of uncertainty, you don't want to buy assets that are tied down with governments or can be easily manipulated by government, right? You want something that are much more independent. So gold and silver probably make sense. I mean, gold makes sense, maybe not too much silver, because silver, having said that, it's still widely controlled by China a little bit, because China has recently, I think sometime in December, placed an export ban on silver. So yeah, take that into consideration if you're going into metals. Okay, so let's move on to the next section, news that moves Bitcoin price section. Let's start with Japanese carry trade. Okay, so Japanese carry trade, it's the one that's pretty important. So I've covered this quite extensively yesterday, right? So if you want more detail, maybe watch yesterday's Bitcoin Daily video. So it's more about treasury rate checks boost yen, weaken dollar. So US and Japanese authorities are increasingly worried about the Japanese yen and could be signaling intervention is around the corner. So in the short term, I reckon things will look pretty bad, right? When things unwind, they will lead to a lot of sell-off in the Japanese carry trade. But at the same time, this is what you and I are looking forward to, the intervention from the US as well as Japan, right? So I get into a lot of detail yesterday describing, how the intervention can potentially affect the outcome and to make the outcome a lot more positive for asset class holders. So that should be something that you guys maybe can check out after this video, right? So I'm not saying that this week this whole thing will play out, but I think this will have to be the longer term. So the US Fed is preparing to sell US dollars and to buy more Japanese yen for the first time in this century. Okay, so the New York Fed has already done some rate checks, which is the exact step taken before real currency intervention. So that means the US is preparing to sell dollars and buy more yen. Okay, so what does that mean? Essentially, the Fed creates dollars, right? The Fed creates dollars. Okay, so a little bit of quantitative easing happening. They'll sell them and uses those dollars to buy yen. And that will weaken the dollar and help to increase the global liquidity, right? That everyone desperately needs. Okay, and whenever the dollar intentionally gets weakened, asset prices usually surge, right? So asset prices, especially growth type of asset prices, like not the gold, not the silver, but much more on the Bitcoin, on the tech stocks, all of this will surge, hopefully. Okay, so I think this is what most of us really care about. And of course, other news that can move Bitcoin price. I think Bitcoin dipped below 88,000 briefly yesterday ahead of the Fed decision week. I think the Fed might. So this week will be quite an important one. Okay, so either the Fed will decide on Wednesday to pause or cut rates, and of course, this week is all about big tech's earning, right? So I think FOMC meeting is on Wednesday, right? I think the outcome, interest rate decision outcome, will be by Wednesday. Well, one thing to highlight, it's also the big tech's earning. Okay, so a few big tech's earning like Microsoft, Meta, Tesla. Yay, Tesla. Yeah, quite a few earnings call this week for last quarter. So something to look out for. I think big tech sometime will. If big tech's earning are not good, especially the ones that are highly relevant to AI, in a way, it will also affect Bitcoin price or Bitcoin and crypto prices, because it just does. Sometimes it just correlates, right? Because whenever big tech dumps, and then usually Bitcoin will be volatile too. Okay, so bear that in mind. But of course, I think looking at this, there are some immediate data that will be coming out soon, like today, the durable goods order data upcoming. It's a delayed November durable goods orders report, right? Because it was due to the government shutdown before. So the forecast is at around 4.5% growth. So essentially this data kind of measures long-lasting goods like appliances. It's kind of a very key economy health check, if you get what I mean. If actual data beats the forecast, it will signal strong manufacturing. Anything below could show weakness, right? So I think this data will matter for the upcoming FOMC meeting, because it's also an indicator to decide on whether to have that rate cut or not. So for Bitcoin holders, I think it's not immediate that we, on Monday we'll see whether it would have an impact on the Bitcoin price. However, I think all of this would lead on to the FOMC meeting on Wednesday. So something to look out for. But so far, Poly Market is indicating that there will be no change in terms of the rate decision, right? So no change for January, 99.2%. Even for a 25 basis point rate cut, it's now reduced tremendously to about 1%. So I think overall, the Bitcoin price has already priced that in ahead of the meeting. Okay. And other news that can potentially impact the Bitcoin price, I think this week, will be the US government shutdown fears. Okay, so this has now been increased to about 78%. Okay, so rising odds of a US government shutdown are pressuring crypto and Bitcoin as it could disrupt markets and economy. So I think Bitcoin obviously slide to below 87,000. I think a lot to do with this. I think for now, we'll just have to see. I did a very, very comprehensive highlight in terms of government shutdown in yesterday's video. I'm not going to get into that long conversation again, so go check that out if you haven't, right? I will drop a link after this video. Okay, so go check that out. So plenty of fear about the possible government shutdown. If it does go ahead, it will mean by Friday, this coming Friday, it will be government shutdown, right? And you all remember how it was for the last government shutdown back in October. It was total disaster, and Bitcoin almost dropped to about 70, high of 70,000, right? So not the best time to look forward to, but just warning you guys of what might be coming, right? So definitely don't panic sell, but it will be such a good opportunity to buy in for everything, I guess, for the growth stocks, for Bitcoin, etc., etc. I mean, certainly don't FOMO into buying gold. I simply felt gold will be at its all-time high. But anyway, moving on, other news that will affect the Bitcoin price. I think the fact that gold hit 5,100, another all-time high yesterday. Essentially, it's stealing all the mind share away from Bitcoin. So good for you guys, gold holders, and silver metal holders. I think the same for silver. Silver hit another all-time high. But gold itself is on a historic run with the price hitting a new all-time high of 5,100. So in the last 2 years, gold definitely jumped from around $2,000 to now $5,100. So that's approximately 150% gain over the last 2 years. So it has definitely added over $21 trillion in market cap. And US gold reserves value has increased from $531 billion to now $1.33 trillion. Okay, so if we look at market cap, gold total market cap now is about $35.4 trillion. Silver did exceptionally well too at $6.1 trillion, well ahead of Nvidia, Alphabet, Google, Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon. Then it's down to Bitcoin at $1.758 trillion. Okay, so yeah, gold, guys, gold, not Bitcoin. Frustrating to see this, but I'm hoping that it will eventually play out like gold run first, followed by Bitcoin. You know what? Don't know whether that's a hopium or something. At least it's a hopium that we can all look forward to. Okay. Moving on. I think that's it. That's it for this week, guys. I mean, all I'm looking forward to would be market open. This week could be an interesting week. Could be a week of everything on a discount. Or, this discount, I think, can last pretty long if US government do shut down. So take that into consideration. If you want to buy the dip or buy during the discount, because the last time the US government shut down, I think it took about 6 weeks to about 2 months for a slight recovery. And then even for Bitcoin, it continued to dip. So if you are looking into DCAing in, certainly not financial advice, you have to do your own research. I'm just thinking maybe don't go lump sum in. More of a DCA probably makes sense because there's still plenty of macro geopolitical uncertainties in the horizon, and essentially you don't want to lump sum in and for the price to continue to dip. But anyway, overall summary for the past 24 hours, yes, Bitcoin dip sub 87,000. I think a lot of fears coming ahead of Fed FOMC meeting, possible government shutdown, Japanese carry trade unwind, no rate cut, and yeah, I think generally investors are so fearful that they're going into gold and silver. Metal wins, guys, for now. Okay, so no immediate bullish news for you guys, or no immediate catalyst for Bitcoin, or any setup, or any possible catalyst setup. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting week, and we shall see when market open in a few hours time. So thanks for watching my video, and remember to hit like, hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next video, guys. Bye.